The Democratic Party chose who is the real Democrat in this race.
The gloves are off in the race to represent Silicon Valley in Congress.
He's also having difficulty at the polls. He's running behind, so he's getting desperate.
Today, we're talking to the men running for a seat that hasn't been open in more than 30 years.
I will still support Liccardo, and it's a guy, for the community.
Lowe's this wonderful young candidate.
And asking them what they will do for you.
It's a tough choice.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Elizabeth Cook.
I'm Makovec in for Liz, and we are live from our state-of-the-art virtual election headquarters with just 5 days until Election Day. Today, we are focusing on a key race on the peninsula in Silicon Valley. Former San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo and State Assemblyman Evan Lowe, each hoping to win a ticket to Washington to replace Congresswoman Anna Eshoo. Both candidates are with us today, and we're going to hear their pitch to voters coming up in just a few minutes. So this is the 16th Congressional District. It covers parts of San Mateo and Santa Clara counties. And for the first time since 1992, there is no incumbent running for the seat. Len Ramirez spoke with two former mayors hoping to make the move to Washington.
Thank you. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Buen día y gracias por San Jose.
Sam Liccardo
Thank you. It's so important.
and Evan Lowe are both popular former Silicon Valley mayors who are now campaigning for Congress.
Thank you.
This is a family-owned cafe.
But only one of them will get to move on to Capitol Hill to represent the 16th Congressional District. And Liccardo says a lot can be learned about the needs of the people by visiting places like this cafe across the street from his campaign headquarters.
These are the gathering spaces, the third spaces, where we really need to bring people together and to talk about the challenges we face in our communities and our lives and be able to socialize and connect.
Liccardo was born and raised in Saratoga. He graduated from Georgetown University and earned a law degree from Harvard. He was a Santa Clara County prosecutor and both a council member and a two-term mayor of San Jose. But he says the importance of politics is something he learned at an early age at home.
And it was very obvious to me as a kid that what was expected of us was to play some role in the world to make it better.
He says leading the city through pension reform, advocating for BART to San Jose, and bringing digital inclusion to low-income parts of the city are some of his proudest accomplishments as mayor. He wishes he could have solved the city's homeless crisis, but says some of the programs started during his administration have become the model for other cities to follow.
We started converting motels to apartments about 4 years before the governor made it a statewide program. All those things were great, but the reality is we still have a homelessness crisis.
He wants to eliminate barriers in federal law that can prevent local governments from solving problems like housing and crime. He says he can work across the aisle thanks to some spiritual guidance he relies on.
When you recognize it's not about you, it's a lot easier to get things done because you can give other people credit and they will do the work and they will agree. And when you recognize it's not about you, when the blame comes, you recognize, look, people are going to blame you and that's okay. That's part of leadership.
Evan Lowe says a lot of what he learned about politics came from working as a waiter in a small restaurant in downtown Campbell.
Well, I learned certainly the grit and the hard work that was required about making sure that we are part of the community, but also just hearing the stories of everyday locals.
Lowe was born in San Jose and raised in San Jose and Campbell. He earned degrees from De Anza College and San Jose State University. He says he also learned the value of civic engagement at an early age from his father, who was an optometrist and a local business leader.
He was the president of the Campbell Chamber of Commerce, president of his Lions Club. So just growing up, I thought every kid volunteered on the weekends and serving their community. So
at 23, Lowe broke barriers when he was elected to the Campbell City Council, becoming the first openly gay council member in that city. His council colleagues elected him mayor in 2009, making him the youngest Asian American mayor in the country. He says he helped lead efforts to revitalize downtown Campbell and attract new businesses to the city's core.
And if you think about downtown Campbell 20 years ago, where we are today, you can see such vibrancy. And in fact, if you come here on any Sunday, you see a vibrant farmers market where you can't find parking, and it's the place to be.
Lowe also taught American government at community college and was elected to the California legislature in 2014. If elected, he says his priorities are to help lower the cost of living and health care.
I'm a product of our local community, and it's important, imperative to me that I'm also giving back to what gave me the opportunity and the promise for so many. And I am concerned, though, that the opportunities that I had for next generations of young individuals will not have those opportunities, and that's why government needs to work for everyone.
Evan Lowe and Sam Liccardo, two former mayors with deep roots in the communities they want to represent and serve in Congress.
And coming up, both men joining us live. We're going to ask the two Democrats how they would work in a divided Congress and why they should be picked to represent such a diverse district. We'll be right back. This November, voters in San Mateo and Santa Clara counties have the chance to pick a new congressional representative. It comes down to former San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo and State Assemblyman Evan Lowe. We're going to be talking with both candidates, starting with State Assemblyman Evan Lowe. Thanks so much for joining us. Can you start by telling us how your background has prepared you for this role?
Absolutely. Well, first off, happy Halloween. With 5 days left, we're so excited to make sure we're doing all that we possibly can and earning the trust and support of so many voters. Vast majority of voters still are hanging on to their ballots or have not yet cast their ballot. And so there leaves those important 5 days in helping to ensure that we send our message out. And of course, I'm the uniquely experienced candidate who has the 10 years of the California state legislative experience, which is unique to me, as well as being the Democratic nominee. I am the sole endorsed candidate by the California Democratic Party alongside Governor Gavin Newsom.
All right, and most recently, as we talked about your time in the state legislature, it's certainly a different environment than what we would find right now on Capitol Hill. Most are Democrats in California. It's a friendlier environment, perhaps. So how are you going to use that experience to deal with the very sometimes chaotic Congress?
Certainly. Well, that 10 years of legislative experience leaving our region here in Silicon Valley to the state capitol in Sacramento will best equip me to be able to do the same thing, from going to our district here to Washington, D.C., of course, trying to get as much bipartisan support. I currently serve in a legislative house in which we have individuals from the other side of the aisle. And in fact, I've worked alongside colleagues to strengthen that argument. And the bills that I've passed in making transformational change, while we did not necessarily need Republican votes, I sought out Republican support because it strengthens the argument to not be partisan. And I think that wins the day. And I'll continue to lend that hand and reaching across the aisle. And that's why I've been proud to be named one of the most prolific lawmakers by the Sacramento Bee in my tenure in the California state legislature.
Let's talk about one of the biggest challenges that you would face in Congress. It's this issue of immigration. Of course, Silicon Valley has a couple different categories. We've got the farm workers in Half Moon Bay, and then also we have the highly educated tech workers that come to work in Silicon Valley. How will you try to help each get a better foothold here?
Well, that's right. Those two different categories, in addition to those of dreamers, individuals who brought to this country at a young age and then become 18 years of age and understand that they're in no man's land. And so how do we acknowledge and address so many of these different issues? Well, of course, number one, we need to make sure that we have comprehensive immigration reform that works well, that we have a system in place in which have undocumented individuals working in the agricultural community, a great percentage, close to 30% are working in construction and agriculture. So how do we make sure that we're acknowledging that so many make our economy thrive, while also making sure that we strengthen our borders and help expedite the existing programs that we have in place, that it should not take 5 to 10 years to get a visa, that we need to help expedite this process in a fashionable sense so that individuals are incentivized to go through the legal process and not bypass that and coming through the borders.
Now, Congress also trying to find its way right now in regulating the tech industry, from social media to AI. What is your role in that going to be?
Well, I'm proud to be the founder of the Technology and Legislative Caucus in the state of California. And in fact, in that capacity, I've also led in making sure that we have historic first in the nation privacy measures to help ensure that individuals have the capacity and the right to know. That's why you oftentimes get the prompts when you visit websites to accept and have that opt-in process. We need to make sure that we're focused on what is the fundamental role of government: consumer protection and privacy. That is who I fight for, and that's what you will get from me as a member of Congress. At the same time, let's also be acknowledging the fact that this is the innovation economy of the world. And we're not just competing with other states, but we're competing globally with other countries. And we need to help foster the type of innovation. That's why we need to strengthen our educational systems here in the state of California and in Silicon Valley. We need to lower the cost of housing so that we can attract the type of workforce. And that we also need to help, as you mentioned earlier, enhance our immigration reform system so that we can have the workforce for future generations to come.
All right, a lot of complicated challenges. Thanks for sharing your perspective, Assemblyman Evan Lowe. And coming up next, Lowe's opponent, Sam Liccardo, is going to be here to make his pitch right after the break. We'll be back. All right, we are talking about the election for the District 16 seat representing Silicon Valley in Congress, and our conversation continues now with former San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo. Thanks for joining us. Talk a little bit, if you will, about how your background has prepared you for this role.
Great to be with you, Ann. Well, the 4 daily newspapers that serve this district have all endorsed me because they're asking the same 2 questions every voter should ask, which is, what have you done and what are you going to do? When I was mayor of the city of San Jose, we had to take a lot of tough positions and stances to get things done. And when I left the city in 2022, I left the city with the lowest homicide rate of any major city in the country. We had just reduced street homelessness by 11%. And I left my successor with a $30 million surplus because of tough decisions we had to make much earlier. I think it's critical for folks to understand what we've done. I think it's critical for folks to understand what we're going to do. And that's why I put together a book. It's 130 pages online, so shorter in print. We've been dropping it on folks' doorsteps. I was just out there a few minutes ago, really talking about specific solutions that we can bring to bear in a divided Congress where we know Republicans and Democrats don't agree on much, to help families reduce the cost of living, everything from insurance to childcare to housing, and tackle the big challenges of our region, everything from homelessness to reproductive rights.
Yeah, and Sam, your record is very much out there as a mayor, for better or for worse, that could make you a target in some campaigns. What are you most proud of from your time as San Jose's mayor, and do you have any regrets?
Well, the work of a mayor is never done. You always leave the city knowing, hey, wait, we're still working on this and that. What I'm most proud of is I took over a city that was really licking its wounds, having gone through the Great Recession. We had lost more than 1,000 employees. We had lost 500 police officers through battles over pension reform and layoffs in the recession. And we were really looking backward and inward. And I'm proud of the way I changed our orientation with a lot of partners working hand in hand to start having folks look at the future.
As a kid,
investing in incredible programs to help low-income youth in East San Jose get access to college, when the 2,000 are taking advantage of micro scholarships, helping expand summer learning and after-school learning in our 17 poorest neighborhoods, expand free Wi-Fi, the broadband to 200,000 residents in East San Jose, preserve Coyote Valley and our hillsides for future generations. People were talking about the future again. And that's what's critical in a city that is as innovative as ours, is having folks focusing on the future enables us to do much more together.
All right, we know a big focus in Congress is immigration, and you've got a unique perspective on this as a former prosecutor at the border. How are you going to use that experience to try to get some sort of compromise? It is going to be a tough job to work with all those Republicans on Capitol Hill.
This is tough. And I was, I was lobbying for a comprehensive immigration solution back in 2013 when we were very close to getting a bill to the floor of the House. Unfortunately, it was held up by the Republican leadership at that time. I'm confident that there's a deal to be had here because we can have a safe border, a secure border, at the same time that we can have a fair immigration system that allows for more legal immigration. And we need both. We need more immigration in lots of areas, certainly from tech to agriculture to construction to healthcare. We critically need more immigration. And we need to have a secure border because we know that it's not safe right now. Too many people are dying crossing the border. we know that we need to enforce the law. What I know from my experience as a prosecutor, and I put this out now in very great detail in my book, we can use more technology, certainly. We need more Border Patrol for sure. We need Mexico to step up to its responsibility on its southern border with Guatemala. But we also need a better process, one that's fair, and one that can address the 3 million case backlog that we have right now in our system.
All right, former San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo, I wish we had more time. Thanks for joining us today. And yeah, we'll follow the results on Tuesday. Don't forget, of course, KPIX is your election headquarters. We're going to have full coverage and up-to-the-minute results on election night on multiple platforms. You can find us on KPIX and PIX Plus, as well as streaming on the free CBS News app. Thanks for watching. You can always get all the latest headlines and weather over on PIX Plus. And remember to like and click the button on the bottom left of your screen to subscribe for the biggest Bay Area news.